Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live. I am very excited to talk about something today that I believe that many people are living with, right? It's something that perhaps we don't think about because we don't associate as in being an addiction, but I really believe that in this society, in the world, and the lives that we lead these days, it has become an addiction for many people, and that is the stress. And the reason why I decided to talk about this, not only because I know people have voted for it, but I see that there is an underlining even a more energy around the world that it is, very, very negative and stressful. There is talks about, now recession, and of course, still we're talking about the war, and things haven't been resolved at all. And there is so many different subjects that pull us down into this spiral of being and feeling stress all the time, that before we don't even realize we are constantly stressed. And my journey to stress was a very interesting one because I lived like that, and I just kind of thought that that was the only way to live, right? Like my mom and dad, my dad worked really hard. He had his own business, but he was always stressed. And the way that both of them reacted to life, it was in a stressful way. They were not like these Zen people, relax and present in the moment. It was always, anything that would come into kind of our reality, business or not business related, they would react into in a stressful way, which for me, it taught me that that was the only way to live. And I think that, that's not a blaming exercise, but that's what I observe. And now I have kids. I take an enormous amount of responsibility on how I react and how I behave for my kids, because I see that, you might be telling your kid one thing, but if you're behaving in another way, the reality is they are just picking up how you're behaving, and they're learning from that, not how you're asking them to be, if you know what I mean. And for me, it was very important that I changed myself so I could become that example for my kids. And when I looked at my life before cancer, I saw somebody who was extremely stressed out all the time, regardless of what was happening. And my focus was always on the negative pole, or on the negative energy, and I was constantly stressed. And it wasn't until I had this moment during my treatment. I went into the chemo, into the hospital to have my chemotherapy treatment. And on that particular day, I had a massive row with my family, who, if you don't know about my story around that, it was a massive healing journey that I had to go through with them. On that particular day, we had a massive row. And I was sitting in the chemo chair receiving the chemotherapy while, I was feeling very upset and stressed out. And when I came home, normally I would come home on a Friday with my little pump. They'll be pumping chemotherapy into my veins until the Sunday. I felt terrible. It was one of the worst treatments that I've had to that point. I think I was kind of treatment 4 or 5. And I could barely breathe. I was laying down on the floor. And the indication that, I looked really terrible is that when I looked at my husband, he kept checking in on me and saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because I could see, fear in his eyes. And as I lay there in bed, I realized that the chemotherapy, yes, it was affecting my body, as I knew already, because it was already my 4th chemo session. But there was something much bigger than that. And that was the stress chemicals that was all over my body, that my body had been releasing for quite a few hours, that was completely draining. And I felt a very, very, very like a real physical effect of those chemicals in my body. And that's when I realized that I needed to do something about my stress response, because if I kept feeling like that with every time I got upset in life, that wasn't going to lead me to a long-term health or a life without any chronic diseases, which was something that I was facing. So stress became for me an absolutely a paramount factor and focus for me to really understand and manage in a better way. You know, I thought, yeah, it's so good that I'm changing my diet and I'm exercising every day, but if I don't change this, the way I respond to stressful situations, I'm not going to be able to create long-term health. So I just wanted to give you like a good indication of what happens in normal people's lives. Like, if this is the stress response here, and this is the time, in a 24 hours clock, most people, and that was me before cancer, you wake up and you already, completely stressed out because you're thinking about what your day, and you perhaps are checking your emails, which I did, see if there was any response, and if there wasn't a response that you wanted or that you were hoping for, you already get stressed. Some people, they go on social media, they go on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, and they realize, oops, I'm not living the life that I want, so they get even more stressed. So that stress response goes from waking up to being on top, like a really curve, not even a curve, but a vertical, and that's how people start in their days. And then, you start your day, and, you kind of balance things out, and you start doing your automatic habits, eating your breakfast, getting yourself to work or getting yourself to your home, office, doing the things that you do normally. And then what happens is something happens again. And then something that is unexpected, something that you didn't hope for, the school calls to say that your kid is sick, you need to pick them up, you have a meeting that got canceled, whatever, and then again your stress response goes up again. And then you kind of deal with that past, and then you go a little bit down here and doing your automatic habits, and just doing your lunch and whatever. And then something else happens, and this is like, your kid's not doing what they're supposed to do or whatever happens, and then your stress level goes up again. And you keep going like this, in a 24 hours period. And then you go to sleep, and then you start again. And those peaks here, your physical body, physically is releasing some hormones physically in your body that is creating that peak, which is the same as if you were jumping off a plane on a parachute, or surfing a wave or doing something fun. It's the same, but in this instance it's very focused on the negative. And what's happening inside your body, it is a chemical reaction that is giving you that high, but it's not a positive one, it's a negative one. And what happens is your physical body gets addicted to that, because it is a high, regardless if it was jumping off a plane with a parachute, or if it was your boss telling you off about something that you didn't do. And as you get addicted to that, as soon as you go back to your automatic pilot and you go back to normality, your body craves that again. And it looks for it again, and you manifest this again, because that's all you know. And you keep doing this over and over again. And you hope and wish that one day you're going to wake up without any stress, without doing anything about it. And that is a big, big problem, because unless you do something about it, you're just riding this bike, and you're going to keep riding the same bike and the same bike and the same bike. and you're just going to keep repeating the cycle every single day, and your body's going to keep a craving for the same high every single day. So once I realized all of this, I realized that, you know, I needed to learn how to cope with whatever was happening at peak here. That's one thing. And I needed to do something every day, so I didn't start my day like that. Okay. So once I realized that, it was about learning how to respond differently to things. Because let's face it, I could sit here and promise you a life without any stress, but that's an illusion. Our lives are very stressful these days. There is so many, you know, demands and so many different things that we're trying to keep on top of, that life. And on top of that, there is all this other stuff that's unexpected, you know, like an illness, like myself, you know, that is even harder for you to keep on top of, right? If you're not, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not doing anything about it. So I realized that, you know, responding to how the things that were thrown at me was very, very important. But also to doing something daily, so I didn't start my day like that. So I started getting my body used to a different level of being and feeling. Okay. So when you have an addiction, regardless if it's drugs or alcohol or sugar, or some people have an addiction to exercise or whatever it is, your body will be accustomed to be craving for that and doing that all the time. So physically, you need to get your body used to a different state of being. And the only way to doing that is to having practices every single day that you start getting your body used to this new normal. Okay. So I think what's important here is, one, to recognize, are you that person? Are you the person that are constantly craving for that, you know, stress high? You know, even my job, when I look back, I fell into recruitment, and I loved it because it was a highly stressful career. You know, one day you speak to somebody, they want a job, the next day they don't want a job. The next day their wives tell them not to get the job. It's extremely stressful. You're dealing with people, and people do whatever they want, and they change their mind whenever they want. So it's a very, very challenging business to be in. So even my job was stressful because I crave for that high. So it's really important to acknowledge here, like, when you look at your whole life, is that all you're craving for? You're craving for, you know, the stressful job, the stressful relationships. You know, people get addicted to having those fights all the time, so they get their stress high. You know, like, is that what you're craving for? You know, is that what you're used to doing? Everything that we do, it becomes a habit, and once it's a habit, that's all we know. And you need to break the habit, which we all know it's very, very challenging. Okay, so once he's recognizing, are you that person that it's constantly living in stress? You don't know how to live without being at that kind of heightened state of mind. And if you are, you know, what are you doing every single day to get your body accustomed to a different level of being and feeling, which is very, very important. Because that's just not going to go away by itself unless you start doing something every single day in the form of meditation, exercise, you know, focusing on your sleep, eating, or whatever it is. It's going to be very difficult for your body just to switch off and you become the Zen person. So once you realize, okay, well, yes, I do have an addiction to stress, or yes, I have been stressed for the last, 5-10 years, and I need to change that. Okay, what am I going to do every single day to keep on top of it? And look, guys, it doesn't have to be crazy things, right? Like, I talk to people every single day that, just at base, they're not doing, most people are not doing the basics right. Okay, so let's just talk about the basics here. If you don't check your emails when you wake up, and if you don't check social media, which, unless somebody in your family, is really ill and you need to keep in touch with people, there is no need for you to do that. You know, so if you stop doing that, you already start your day in a different way. Okay, so those are the things that everybody can do, but most people are not doing. And they just keep riding the same bike. And oh my God, I'm so stressed. Oh my God, I'm so stressed. Oh my God, I'm so stressed. And they're hoping and wishing that their stress is going to go like that. But once it becomes a habit and once it becomes an addiction, it's already in your body. Your body's craving and you're feeling and being all the time like that. Guys, I don't want to make this live too long, but you know, everything that I did, as you know, is very simple. You know, I've just given a few very, very simple habits that you can implement straight away around, you know, doing things every single day to keep on top of your stress. Self-awareness is key, absolutely key. You know, am I that person and how am I responding to stressful situations? You know, that is very, very important in the changing process. If you are interested in my De-Stress Yourself daily course, I'll put a link below. It's take you by the hand of 5 tools, practical tools that you can apply each day. Very, very simple. Anybody can do it. That will make a difference in your life if you apply sustainably. As you know, if you're hitting this group, I believe that once you start taking control of your health, you stop relying on medication, health professionals and everything like that outside of you, and you take control of your health and you do everything that you can each day. And then after that, from that place, you can assess what else you need as a complementary, but you need to be the basis. Most people are hoping that somebody outside of them are going to take their stress away from them. Somebody outside of them are going to change their habits from them. Somebody outside of them are going to take all their pain away. You are the only one who has the power to change what you do and how you feel about your life. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll add the link below. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you so much for being here. Take care.